Hey, 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 you know what time it is.
It's time for the Heart to Heart Journey to Unconditional Love podcast.
Absolutely. I am your host, Delay Bloomer. That's my co-host, Harlan Brown. And what's up, Harlan Brown?
Hey, what's up, late bloomer? How are you?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm geeked because we getting ready to go back. We getting ready to go back. The audience don't know what they're in store
This
for
is good.
this next series. And I don't even know if I'm gonna call it a series yet. We just gonna go with the flow. We just gonna do what we do. We're gonna talk about what we need to talk about, but we seriously are going to have a heart to heart in this podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it is a great foundation. I feel like we started out with a wonderful foundation, but I think this right here is like this is it. This is it.
It's
So
good, right? You ready?
yeah.
So let's not
I've been
even
anxious since the last segments, so you already know.
yeah. So let's not know we ain't gonna give them any drama. We're gonna go right into it. And
Absolutely.
a lot of times what I want to talk about is a lot of times we don't really look back on other relationships or things that happened in the past, or we do, but we don't look at them in the correct way. And what I mean by that, we look at the person and not the process.
Okay.
So what I mean by that, so let me just elaborate just a little bit because I know I'm going off tangent as I always do. So when you look at your past relationships, a lot of time we look at what we did or what we didn't do with that person to help us with the next person.
Okay.
But I always say, don't even bother with that because what you didn't do for that person, the next person might like what you did. So you have to build a awareness of who you are and who you want to be and be yourself. So don't even
Exactly.
worry about what you did in the past. Just could go forward being yourself, right?
Right.
Are you following me?
I'm following you. I'm following you.
Okay. But with this, we're gonna go to the origin of relationships, how it started from the beginning.
Right.
And we're gonna look at that to say those who don't know their history or their past is going to repeat.
Okay.
Right? So there, so because a lot of us don't go back to this and go back to the past. And what do you think I'm talking about when I say go back to the past and looking at relationships and looking at the first relationship,
We're talking about the mother and father of all, Adam and the woman.
Adam and a woman, and then known as Eve. But we're gonna keep a buck. We're gonna say exactly what we need to say because it's Adam and the woman who started this whole relationships. And if we look at their story and we look at what they've done, it could help us in the present and in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what?
What?
Now that I gave them that little tidbit of what we're gonna be talking about, guess what the topic is today?
Come on, hit it. Hit the topic.
Who's in your garden?
Who is in your garden? Okay, let's hit it. Let's hit who is in the garden. Who is
Who's in
in?
your garden? Because that's where it
Yes,
all started, right?
it is exactly where it all started.
Adam and Eve in the garden, Adam and the woman in the garden. So the first thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what?
Gotta hit that scripture.
Gotta drop the scripture on them, and we're going back to the beginning, like Genesis 2 and 24. Can you read that for the audience?
Absolutely. Genesis 2 and 24 says, that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh.
That's it. So that's how the relationships are supposed to start. You leave your mom, you leave your father, and you get with your mate and you become one flesh. That means that you're on the same page. That means that you're one heartbeat. Everything is one. Everything is in sync. Everything is the way that it should go, right?
Yes, that's what we would love to believe. Yes,
Yeah. But again, in a perfect world, that ain't what
absolutely.
that's what happens. But
Yeah.
we know you done been through some, I done been through some. everybody, the audience I know been through some where it didn't go that smoothly. You got out of sync. You got
Right.
out of being one. And I'm not even just talking about the marriage, but I know this specific scripture is for marriage, but this is for any relationship. When you become joined together and you're saying you're in a relationship, you want to become one. You want to become in sync with that person. You want to do things with that person. Y'all
That's
have,
the ultimate goal. Yeah.
yeah, you have the same likes, the same beliefs, and just on the same page with a lot of things. That's what the attraction was, right?
Right.
Right. So what's my angle here? Is that the question you're asking? Y'all asking
Hey,
like Bloomer.
what
What's my
what's
angle here?
what's your angle here, late bloomer?
My angle is we're gonna dissect this relationship, this Adam and the woman relationship, to see what they went through. Because if we look at what they went through, then we can take a page out of their book and not go down the same path that they did. So this story is either going you can go down the same path because you're not paying attention, or you can have a different outcome to control your narrative to make sure you don't make the same mistakes are not made that they made, right?
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I know I say this all the time. When anytime a woman would ask me, hey, and I'll say, like, I don't like mushrooms. And they'll say, well, you haven't had my mushrooms, try my mushrooms. I'm like, I'm not being your Eve. Don't be my Eve. Like, I ain't trying to have you be my Eve to tempt me
Mhm.
to get to taste something that I don't even like. You know what I mean? That I don't
Right.
even want, that I shouldn't have. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So we
Okay.
go back. Yeah. So a lot of times that's what's up. And then a lot of there's a group out there that blame Adam for being so stupid, for taking for being deceived by Eve per se. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
there's so many different stories behind it. But I'm gonna ask the audience, what story are you on? In the comments, just in the comments below, just tell me who you think is to blame for the Adam and Eve situation. And because I'm curious to know, because we're going to tell you, we're going to get into this, and we're going to
Right.
really dissect this. But we just want to know what y'all think about that. So I don't want to get off topic. So, but please put your comments in here because we really want to know how y'all feel about who is to blame for the fall of the first relationship. Is it Adam or is it Eve? So in the comments below, Facebook, what else? TikTok,
All social
Instagram,
media. Wherever
also.
there's a social media, look up the late bloomer, Blooma, and go ahead and let us know who you think should who do you blame? I'm not gonna say you should blame, but who do you blame for the downfall
Yeah,
of relationships?
yeah. So we get ready to have a heart to heart here, Harlem Brown. We get ready to have a heart to heart. We're going to break this whole thing down. So just to give a little reference, so there was the Garden of Eden, and I think mostly everybody know that story.
Yes.
There was a Garden of Eden, and um, God said, you're not in this particular tree, you're not supposed to. You can have anything else anywhere, everywhere else. But in this particular tree, you're not to, don't touch this tree. Do not bear the fruit. Do not eat the fruit of this tree. Right? So
Right.
I'm in the vicinity. So the first sign of a relationship and where it can go awry is there was somebody who tempted the
There was
woman.
a temptation, right? There was an outside temptation in the relationship that caused the woman to um do what she was asked, what was told not to do, what she knew what was against what they should have been doing.
Yeah. And and again, so let's go to the next scripture. Genesis 3, 1 and 6. So read that first I think it's
Three.
the first I think it's the first verse.
Okay, it says, now the serpent, more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord had made, he said to the woman, did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat from the fruit from the tree, eat the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden.
Yes. Specific instructions, right?
Specific instructions.
Specific instructions. And it's funny how she was tempted. But listen to the words. He was more crafty than any of the other animals in the garden that
Right,
God made. Isn't that crazy?
right. He
So
was
think
more
about
crafty. He had all of the he had more game than anybody else.
it. Pretty much, right?
He
Pretty
had than any other. So he approached her on that with the game that he had. So
right.
yeah.
So I'm gonna pivot here because we didn't even discuss this part of it, but we're gonna start with this part of it and the deception and being in cahoots with somebody who's crafty. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying?
let's
So
be
she
let's
should
see.
she should be by Adam's side, tending to the garden, and she's talking to somebody who's crafty.
Right.
And
So so we're gonna say
okay,
that they were both in a garden and they weren't together at the time, right? And here comes this serpent, here comes this crafty person, whispering in her ear, like, so you mean to tell me you got all of this and you can't do this, right? So I get that. Yeah, that's where the temptation comes in. That's
right,
where the deceit comes in because
right,
she's like, no, that's not what they said. He just said not this one. Like
yeah,
you can eat that. Like why can't you eat that? Like what's the problem? And
yeah.
she's looking at it like, I mean, it looked good and
Huh.
surely you wouldn't die if you touched it, right? But you touched it. And
Right.
surely you wouldn't die if you taste it. You want to taste it.
Yeah. So think about this. When you're in a relationship, it's funny that before you're in a relationship, nobody wants to talk to you.
No,
You don't
not at
get no
all.
temptation. You don't get nothing. You don't get no proposals. You don't get nothing. You don't get nothing. But as soon as you latch up with somebody in a relationship, all the tempting and everything comes out. And you know what my favorite hated line is? So, and this works both ways for men and women. So I know I used to have women come up to me and say, "Hi, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing good. What's your name?" "Okay, yeah, I'm the late bloomer." And they'll say, um, "Oh, I see you got a ring." And then you already know what they say. What they say? Come on, you know what they say.
I don't know what do they say?
Come on, see, you playing with me. But they'll say, well, are you happily married?
Right.
I hate that. You talk about, I hate that. Oh my God, that is the best but worst line to ever ask anybody who's in a relationship. And you don't even have to have a ring. You could just say, yes, I'm in a relationship now. But they say, are you happy in that relationship? Tempting you to
It's
talk to them.
always going to be temptation. I think the moment that even is suspected that you're in a relationship or you with somebody, then everybody needs your attention. You have to really, and I really, and I like to say this. It is one of those things where people love you where you are, right? And they love their
Mhm.
access to you. But the second that they think that access may be altered because now you're with someone, then you have to see them first. They have to see where they stand in these scenarios, right? So now I have to let me see if this really a good relationship. Is he really in a relationship? Is she really in a relationship? If she's
Yeah,
in a relationship, then she shouldn't do this, or she wouldn't do this, or she wouldn't. Well, let me see how much pull I got for that, right? And
yeah.
so that's how these temptations happen. And I think a lot of times we're not necessarily, I'm not going to say that we're not aware that it's a temptation, but I think sometimes because of the fact that it is so subtle, like the serpent said, like, okay, did he really say you couldn't eat from all the fruit? And she's
Right.
like, no, we can eat all of the fruit. We just can't eat that one. Like,
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah.
Like, does it look like it's rotten fruit? Does it look like you can die from eating that? And
Right.
then, of course, yeah, well, I'll touch it to see I didn't die, right? So now I guess it's good. We can eat it. Now I get some to my husband. We eat it,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So,
you get ahead. Don't get ahead. Don't get ahead real quick.
okay, I'm
But
not.
now we right there. So just so the audience know, at this point, if somebody comes up to you and says that to you, this is where you nip it in the bud and be like, I'm good. You can keep going. I'm not interested. And hopefully they'll just walk away. Although they don't, you can still be kind of friendly, stern, like I'm good. Really, thank you. I don't want no problems. I'm good. I'm in a very committed relationship. I love my mate. So you can move on. Thank you so very much. I appreciate the compliment, but I'm going to move on. Right?
Right.
That's how we should handle most of those.
Most of them you should handle them that way. But let's talk to the flirts, right? Because I know I could be one. So let's talk to the flirts. Like that's not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking to get with anybody. I'm not looking for any of those things, right? I'm just out and I see you standing there and I'm like, hey, what you doing? Come on, let's go dance. And just because I said let's go dance or let's I don't know, let's go get some like we all in a setting where it's a party anyway, right?
Yes.
So let's go get some hors d'oeuvres or let's go get this or let's do this and we're laughing and joking because we may just have something that I thought was funny or hey, I like your shirt or whatever, right?
Oh,
Does that equate to saying, oh, I'm trying to get with this person? Or is it, and the person and you say, I'm not really trying to, it wasn't like that. Like I
yeah.
was just being friendly. And the person's like, yeah, well, if you were so happily married or you was happily in a relationship, why would you even be out by yourself? And why, like, then you get all of these questions. Like, how is it that we can't be friendly when we go out and we can't enjoy ourselves when we go out because we're in a relationship and we get treated like, that there was something that was done wrong.
Yeah.
Not
But then again,
necessarily by the mate, but by the person that you just met and you just clearly said, nah, I'm not, it's not that type of party. Like, no, I'm not trying to take you home. No, we're not, it's just, I thought you was cool and, we was laughing and we just had a few dances and laughs.
yeah, but that's that again, that could be very dangerous because
Right.
one, you like the attention that you was getting. It was whatever. You had no intentions of getting with that person, but you liked the attention and it was some kind of adrenaline going to you. It was getting to you like, oh, somebody else is interested in me. Somebody else thinks that I'm cute. Somebody thinks I'm handsome. Somebody thinks that. So it starts playing in our head just like it started playing in the woman head. So do me a favor, read that second verse. Please read that second verse.
Okay, hold on. Let me get back to it. All right. So it says, okay, so we left off where she said, I cannot eat the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden. And God said, you will, if you must not touch it or you will die. So the next verse is, you will not die, the serpent said to the woman. For God knows that when you eat from that fruit, your eyes will be open and you'll be like God, knowing good and evil.
Right. Now, is that the second or third verse?
That is, the second verse is, the woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden. So I went to the one right after where I just left off reading.
And so is that the third verse then?
No, that's the fourth. The third verse is basically don't eat, like you must not eat. God said we can't eat the fruit.
Okay, because I want to make sure I give references. So
Okay.
So read that fourth verse again.
Okay, so the fourth verse says, you will not die, the serpent said to the woman. For God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.
Right. So Genesis 3 and 4.
And 4, yes.
That's that tempting. That's that, okay, I'm crafty already. He's crafty already.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get kind of seduced, then like you said, if you cater to that, if you give them a inch, that you give them an in, then they're going to play on words with you and go
Right.
back and forth with you. And
Right.
then now they got you. They got
Right.
your attention. They
Right.
got your attention. So now he's crafty and says that one more time, says what? Give it to me. Number 4.
Okay. Number 4 says, you will not die.
Yeah,
Like, certainly you will not die. The serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat of the fruit, your eyes will be open and you will be like him and know good from evil. So you'll be like God and you'll know the difference between good and evil. He doesn't want you to know that.
exactly. So now you have the serpent getting the woman to second guess herself.
Right.
So if you allow someone to penetrate your relationship, and I say it that way, come in between what you have, now you start second guessing yourself about your relationship because someone is crafty and played on words and said something to you. Now you're thinking about it. Now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because you let this person in. Now you're trying to figure out how to get out, right?
Right.
So this is what I want to say about this in a relationship. So the woman allowed the serpent to take it further than she wanted it to go. She could have nipped it in the bud right away, been done with it, said, God said, don't eat it. I'm not eating it. Go about your way. But she didn't do that. And a lot of times that's what we do in relationships. So that's why I wanted to look at this as a lesson for the audience to know, don't let nobody penetrate your relationship. Don't allow somebody who's crafty, somebody who's debonair, smart, suave, come through and play on words with you and have you second guessing yourself. That is why we had the foundation to say, be strong in yourself, with your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul, so that when you get tempted, it doesn't mean anything to you.
Right. So and also please look at the words that was used, right? He came for what he came for. He wanted her to do that, right? He wanted her to eat that fruit. So he wanted to show her how beautiful, like, I mean, you eat from everything in the garden. So he said, like, what he said you couldn't do? Like, why, that made her like, why can't I? Like, you're right, why can't I? Right. So yeah, he came in crafty with the like, not just saying, "Hey, let's eat the fruit that we're not supposed to eat." He's
Right,
saying,
right.
like, "Look how beautiful everything is, and God gave you all of this,
Yeah,
but then you couldn't eat fruit." And like, no, that's not what he said. He didn't say that, right? And then she went particularly to what he couldn't say. So he showed her what he made her prove what she not supposed to do, but
yeah.
and yet she still did it, right?
Absolutely. So, and again, I know I went off top. This is not what we planned, but when
But it's
I heard
okay.
this, just God gave me that really quick to say, talk about that deceit. Talk about how it even got to that point where people let other people deceive them when they're supposed to be strong in their own relationship, but they're not because they're not strong within themselves. And they
Right,
have to have that firm foundation. They have to be at peace so their body is alive. They have to control their mind or somebody else will. Now, that's why I wanted to bring it full circle. We talked about that when we first started this podcast, mind your business.
exactly.
Now,
Right,
think about this in the very first relationship, the woman didn't mind her business. She didn't mind her business. If she was about her business and mind her business, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation today. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to bring. I know our time is up. I know I went off topic, but I'm not off topic. But I went somewhere else where I wasn't going to go. But the rest of it is it only gets that was great part of it, and that's only the beginning. We're not even talking about the actual eating of the fruit. So just think about in your relationship before you even get married, there can be deceit. There can be someone trying someone wanting to deceive you, wanting to penetrate your relationship, wanting to test you, wanting to make sure that you don't even get to the altar with somebody else. So you have to be careful of who you letting in your circles, where you're going, and being strong in yourself where you nip this in the bud right away. I'm telling you, we having a heart to heart. Audience, please listen to this because this happens on a daily basis.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So yeah, you have to be mindful of the way that you have to really be mindful of subtle gestures too, because you have to understand in in the subtlety of those gestures, like what will it equate to with my relationship? How does that pan out in my relationship? How would my spouse feel if they were here right now sitting next to me? Would that be something that my spouse would be like proud of? Like, so
Yeah,
just think about it on those terms, because your reactions and how you receive people who come at you in all different ways, and especially with like, are you, so you got a man, y'all married, I get you married, no, well then, what's the problem? Just
right,
like, you can be in a committed relationship without having to be married. And
right,
how you know, I just said I had a man, how you know it's not my fiance, how you know it's not like, you, as far as you're concerned, I don't see no ring on your finger, so you single. And
yeah,
I think we have a lot of that goes on as well. A lot of people say that too. Like, if I don't have a ring, then I'm single. I'm free to do whatever I want to. But if you're in a committed relationship and you're trying to grow that relationship to be more than that, then you're not single. You're in a committed
yeah.
relationship.
And that's why you have to know who's in your garden.
Right.
Who's in your garden? So marinate on that. You got, I'm not even gonna give any last words because we gotta go. We went way over time than what
Yes.
we were supposed to do. But just keep this in mind. Who's in your garden? And as I always say at the end of my podcast, trying to do something will keep you in your same place. But when you actually do something, your place has no limitations. I am your host, Delay Bloomer. That is my co-host, Arthur Brown, and we'll see you next
See you
week.
next